Good afternoon, this is Charles with the Columbia Basin Herald, and this is your news roundup for Thursday, July 20th. Here's a little of what's going to be in our newspaper today. Two suspects from last week's shooting in Moses Lake were apprehended on Tuesday in Pierce County. Damian Garza, 26 of Moses Lake, and Brooke Fike, 22 of Moses Lake, were reportedly located by a U.S. Marshals task force. They were apprehended after a pursuit and subsequently booked into the Pierce County Jail, where they are each being held in lieu of $250,000 bail. Garza is facing charges in Grant County Superior Court of drive-by shooting and second-degree unlawful possession of a firearm. Fike is currently being charged as his accomplice. It's summer, and that means days when it's so hot the heat comes off the sidewalk and grabs you by the throat. And how do you keep cool in that heat without breaking the bank? The Grant County Public Utility District has suggestions for economical ways to beat the heat. Some are so cheap, they're free. Open your windows at night to let in cooler air, says a press release issued by the Public Utility District. Closing windows as the day starts to heat up traps that cooler air inside, which the air conditioner will appreciate. Speaking of the air conditioner, set your thermostat as high as comfortably possible to keep down costs, the press release said. The Public Utility District recommends 78 degrees when residents are at home and higher when you're out of the house. A sudden hot spell that caused Moses Lake residents to use more water than usual on lawns and gardens led to a temporary request from city officials to limit irrigation. City officials say the restrictions could be lifted soon, but there is no specific date. Temperatures hit triple digits the first week in July and stayed in the high 90s for a few days, which led residents to increase the water that they put on lawns and gardens. At peak water use, the city residents were using more than 16 million gallons of water per day, said city engineer Richard Law. He compared that with winter use, when nobody's watering lawns or washing cars, and typically in the winter, daily use is around 4 million gallons per day. The Quincy City Council Tuesday evening unanimously approved giving the mayor and his staff the power to negotiate a transfer of the city's industrial wastewater treatment facility to the Port of Quincy. The facility treats water coming from the city's large food processing firms and data centers. According to City Administrator Tim Snead, Quincy has recently spent about $4 million on upgrades to the treatment facility, most of that coming from state and federal grants. The city also approved sending a letter to Microsoft, signaling its intentions to have Microsoft assume the management, design, and construction of the city's $24 million industrial wastewater reuse facility, designed to recycle cooling water used by Microsoft's data centers so that the company can minimize the water it pumps from the ground or sends to the other treatment facility. And finally, today, the Pacific Science Center will bring its demonstration of science and the power of electricity to Moses Lake this summer. It's one of the stops on a tour sponsored by the museum and the North Central Regional Library. The Jolson Volts program will be at 11 a.m. July 31st at the Moses Lake Public Library. Jolson Volts will be presented at 4 p.m. July 31st in Mattawa, and in Grand Coulee and Coulee City, Wenatchee, Brewster, Bridgeport, Tonasket, and Oroville during the next week. The program demonstrates some of the principles of electricity and is part of the library's summer reading program. Well, for details on these and other stories, including national and international news, check out our website, www.columbiabasinherald.com, or buy the paper. It's only $1. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.